Hey guys, so this is episode 5 of the video blogs, which are extensions of the blog that I write every day, which is now at about 3,100 posts. And this is an extension of what we did in episode 4, because at the time that I did episode 4, which was June's episode of this little project of ours, I was kind of halfway through this, which is Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. Now, I did this book as an audiobook, and he reads it himself, and it's utterly brilliant, and it's a total game changer book. But it would be because his previous stuff is, particularly about depression, is stunning. But this is really it'll be harder for him to go further than this. And it's got a list of people on the back that are pretty stellar who are bigging it up. One of those is Naomi Klein, who's amazing. And so I was partway through this book last time, and I was into the social media thing, and I was into the Skinner thing about Instagram and about how Instagram are just stealing your attention. But it goes much further than that, and it goes way into surveillance capitalism and how the model of social media is designed to just steal and sell your focus at all times. And it's getting really, really terrible. The stuff that's going on related to that is really bad. But it ties in with just some other things that are going on in my life. And so prior to that, I had done this book, which is 4,000 Weeks, which was recommended by Chris Barrow, actually, one of the last times he was here. And 4,000 weeks is about the average time we're likely to live. And it's a way of framing that and understanding how to make sense of that in a world where we're moving far, far too fast and faster every minute. So those two books go so well together. But again, then that frames against another thing that's happened, and another little thing that we've been talking about. And last night before we recorded this today, I did the first episode of the podcast with John Gibson, who was a mentor of mine, is a mentor of mine, a hero of mine, taught me when I was an undergraduate, and then we've stayed connected ever since for 28 years. And about in October 2019, John's son took his own life, with no warning at all, and no reason, apparently, that can be found. He was in his 20s, he was very successful, very happy, apparently, and is no longer here. And John is walking from Land's End to John O'Groats, starting on Monday the 13th of June with his wife to try and launch his charity, which is the Campbell Trust. And so by the time this goes out, John will be well into Scotland on his walk, which will take 2.5 months and 1,200 miles. And we'll give you loads of stuff through our channels about how to help with that. But why this ties in so importantly, and then it ties in with this book, which is Talking to Strangers, which I've talked about tons in lots of different places, with Malcolm Gladwell, who is like my hero, is that John and the Canmore Trust that John and Isabel Gibson have launched is having a dental wellbeing conference in Glasgow, which has been in the planning for about 2 years, in November, on November the 4th. And it's about dental teams, and it's about how we in dentistry can help our teams to not be broken, which seems like a ridiculous thing, doesn't it? Because we're here to do dentistry, but of course we're not, really. Dentistry is just a front. Dentistry is a way of laundering our lives, to make it look like we have a greater purpose. But if we have any responsibility beyond just our individual self, so that might be that you work in a team with friends or within your family, or particularly if you have the privilege of running an organisation, a small business, then you have a responsibility, a duty of care to the people who you invite to come into that world. And these are so important, this stuff. All of these are so important in that world, and that is so important. So, in terms of strategies to make things better, how do you influence or help people who are struggling with the speed of the world and the interruption of the world and surveillance capitalism and the fear and the anxiety that so many people seem to have? And the first thing you do is you say to people, turn off your fucking notifications right now. And so I used to say, oh, manage this or manage that, and I read Cal Newport's stuff on digital minimalism, and he used to say, why don't you think about reducing the apps on your phone, or why don't you think about doing this? Turn it fucking off, right? And try that. Just try it, right? There is no reason that you need anything other than calls and texts on your phone. because you just tell people, if you really need me, then phone me. Okay? And that acts as a filter to the amount of shite that is being pumped into your head like a fire hose on coke. All right? So just switch it off. And in doing that alone, we're liable to save the lives of like thousands of people. The other thing that's really important is there is a piece of software, a bit of code that was designed by someone. So on your phone, when you're on Insta, I guess, don't really know much about it, and you tab with your thumb. Yeah, you get that? That's scrolling. When you scroll down any screen on your phone, that's called infinite scroll. So that's a design feature which allows you to continually flick. They reckon that costs, in wasted time and wasted attention, the equivalent of 200,000 lives every single day. Because it's over 3 billion people, and people are spending twice as long on their phone than they should have done. And if you add that up in days and months and years, it's an extraordinary amount. And so this, tied up with everything, is one of the things that is wrecking the people that we love and the people that we care about and the people in our work. And we can only help to change this for some people if we actually set an example to do that. So we give people something else to do, or we say to them, so I'm saying to you now, in 2015, I stopped being on social media personally, entirely. I have never posted on social media since 2015. That is 7 years. It doesn't really appear to have held me back significantly in my life and in my relationships and in my work. It hasn't held me back. Okay? So that's an anecdotal one-person thing, but why would it hold you back? It's allowed me to have much greater human interactions, conversations, and relationships with people because I just will not entertain it. Very, very rarely, probably when I'm at a low ebb, I'll turn on Facebook and just look. I don't even recognize Facebook anymore, right? But up in the top part of Facebook where those red numbers are, there are like hundreds associated with whatever that icon is. Is it a bell? I don't know, right? Which is notifications. So on my Facebook, oh my God, there are like a gazillion, right, notifications. I've never seen one of those, okay? And I'm still here. Look, it didn't kill me. And so the reason I put these books out and the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because it's time for me to talk about this because I'm right. And what's happening at the very worst end of this is that people are losing their lives because they're so damaged. And that might be instantly when we lose, and that's not what happened to John's son. But it is certainly something that's happening to other people's sons and daughters. And that's at the worst end. But just in from that end, they're losing their lives just slowly and chronically. They're wasting their life and the opportunity to have a much better life because they're stuck in the metaverse. And so John has asked me to speak for 45 minutes at the Wellbeing Conference about building a team. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say there. Right? I don't know how to do that. I won't know how to do it without absolutely losing the plot. But the first thing I did was I turned to this, which is Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. And this is a used copy of that book. It's an old library copy that I bought for John Gibson that I'm going to give to him when I see him on his walk. And I'm going to write him a special note. And there's a chapter in there about Sylvia Plath, who was the poet, the American poet, who was Ted Hughes' wife in the 1960s, who took her own life. And there's a chapter on suicide and coupling. And but what we're losing because of our loss of focus, because of our addiction to electronic media, is we can't speak to people that we don't know. And the thing about speaking to people that you don't know is that it's just a joy. It brings light to your life. And we have to be better at that. And it's done by example. And so this month's blog, I'll make it happier next month. This month's blog is about, take a minute, right? We've all lost so much attention. Go and read some fiction out of a book, because as Johann Hari will tell you in here, that's the best, most greatest, research proven way to learn about empathy. And learning about empathy is to be happy, I think. So good luck. That's your homework. for the rest of your life.